Alright guys, we are trying this again. If you missed it, on Monday, I posted a full day wear test of the new CLE DE PEAU Radiant Cushion Foundation. And in that video, I used a brand new brush, this Shiseido face brush. And when I applied the foundation to my face, I noticed that the color was just really orangey. It was very, very warm. It seemed to be changing color. And then I tried applying it with my Sonia G face base one brush to the other side of my face. And it seemed to oxidize a little bit, but not nearly as much as this side of my face. They seemed to kind of even out. I kind of applied a little bit more foundation with this brush onto the side that I thought was very, very warm looking. So long story long, I think the dye in these bristles of this brush were sort of being like leached out into the foundation. And I posted a picture onto my community tab. If you guys are interested in taking a look, you'll see that I then washed my brush, and when I was drying it with a paper towel, you could see all of this red dye in there. So I was like, you know what? I'm pretty sure now that it was the brush that was kind of altering the color of the foundation. And so many of you mentioned that this cushion foundation should really be used with this puff. So today we are basically doing a take two of this CLE DE PEAU Radiant Cushion Foundation full day wear test. I'm definitely going to be using this puff to apply it to at least one half of my face. If I enjoy it, if it's not so much of a pain for me, I'm going to go ahead and use it for the entire face. If not, I'm going to go ahead and use my Sonia G base one brush. So if you're interested in seeing me do another full day wear test with this CLE DE PEAU Radiant Cushion Foundation, then just keep on watching. All right, so I've got the cushion foundation here. It comes in a velvet pouch, and here is the case. And in the box, it came separately. So you had the actual cushion and then you had the actual case, and you kind of had to assemble them because they like to keep the cushion in that bag, that airtight bag, to keep it moist. So inside the compact, you'll find a mirror in here, and then you'll find a lid that opens and closes. So usually with other cushion foundations that I've at least played around with, this lid will like click closed, but this doesn't. This just sort of kind of presses closed. So I'm not the biggest fan of that because it is very important to make sure that this lid is closed so that the cushion doesn't dry out. So you just have to kind of like make sure you're pressing down firmly. And I've washed and moisturized my face. I don't have any primer. I don't like to use primer when I'm testing out foundations because I like to see the foundation kind of behave all on its own. So here is the puff. I'm going to go ahead and insert 2 fingers in there. And on the website, it says to press the puff onto the cushion 2 or 3 times to make sure you're getting like a good amount of product onto your puff. And then it says to just press it onto your skin. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It does apply very nicely with the puff, I will admit. That was very easy. It kind of spread out very, very easily. Very seamless. So I will say that this shade, 020, is the shade that I have used in 3 other CLE DE PEAU foundations. The foundation in the jar, and then I've tried the one in the squeezy tube, I've tried the one in the pump. All of their names are kind of similar, so I can't remember the specific names for them, but I have 020 for all of them, and they all work out really, really nicely. This one I think is, just right off the bat, not oxidizing, nothing like that. I just think it's a little bit deeper and a little bit warmer than those other 3 foundations. So if you are a CLE DE PEAU foundation fan and you have like your shade, it may be a little bit different. So if you can get a sample, or if you can go into store, go to the counter and test them out, because I think if I were in store, I don't think I would have picked this color because it is a little bit deeper than what I'm used to from an 020 in CLE DE PEAU. I really do think it is oxidizing a little bit. I am seeing it change right back here. I'm seeing it change to something a little bit warmer. A little bit, not nearly as much as my first video when I used this brush. So now I'm pretty positive that it was this brush and the dye on those bristles. So I'm just kind of keeping an eye on where I have it and where I don't have it, and seeing if that differentiation kind of changes. I also just want to make sure, sometimes, it's just a matter of it drying down. Like something wet is going to appear a little bit different than something dry. So I just want to make sure it's not that either. I do think it is warming up a little bit. I do think it is oxidizing a hint. And again, back here, if if you want to take a look, I do think the tone is changing a little bit. So I do think it is getting a hint warmer. I'm going to finish applying it to this side of my face. And then the website said to bend this cushion in half and work more detailed areas like the eye and the nose in this way. All right, I do like the application with that puff, but I do want to try it with my Sonia G Base 1 brush because I do generally just prefer brushes. So I'm just gonna go ahead and dip this into the cushion, pick up just a little bit of product. The application with the brush is also lighter, which I happen to like. I like being able to kind of build up a foundation and not just put on a really kind of thick layer right off the bat. Let's see what this side does. Yeah, I see the tone kind of warming up already. So definitely oxidizes a little bit, at least on my skin, at least with this particular color, with either application. It blends in really, really nicely with the brush. But like I mentioned before, I think the application is thinner than with the puff. So I'm just gonna let this layer kind of dry down a little bit, and then I'm gonna add another layer down with the brush. I wanna see if it's kind of buildable and get it to the same coverage that I have on this side. Okay, there we have layer number 2. You can also see how this is not the best match for me. I'm really gonna have to bronze up my neck. I don't really want to bring this foundation all the way down. I'll just blend it in a little bit here. But I will bronze up my whole neck chest area. All right, so, gosh, my hair, sorry. All right, so initial observations, I do think that it does oxidize a hint, but I will say this, I love the finish. It has this very kind of subtle radiant finish. I don't look too greasy or oily. It is definitely a step down, like a tone down from there. The foundation, the one that comes in the jar, that one I feel like is just like, you are just like really, really emollient and moisturized looking. This one is a little bit of that, but not nearly as much. But it just kind of gives your skin a healthy glow. This is definitely, I think, a foundation that you're going to want to set down. I do feel like it's still a little bit tacky on the skin, and I'm getting some off on my fingers there. And the coverage is really nice. The sponge application was a heavier, fuller coverage than the brush. But you saw when I put 2 layers of the brush application on, I do feel like I got it to match up. So it is buildable, but I think we're basically at like a medium coverage. It still looks very, very natural. It's definitely not like a full coverage. So I'm going to say it's a medium. It's a light to medium buildable kind of coverage. And it's really nice. It feels really nice on the skin. It does have that Clé de Peau rose fragrance in there. It's very, very faint, and it's definitely kind of fading already. So just be mindful of that if you are really sensitive to fragrances, but it's the typical Clé de Peau rose fragrance. So I'm going to use my Clé de Peau loose powder here and just set this foundation down just a little bit. I just want a very light layer of powder because I don't want to get rid of or erase all of this like kind of beautiful radiance. So I'm just going to go in very lightly. All right, there we have a light layer of the Clé de Peau loose powder. I think I can still see the radiance kind of coming through, which is nice, which is my preference. All right, so let's do a close-up and a pan down from my forehead to my chin. Just want to show you that it looks very flawless on the skin. It's not picking up any texture. It's not sinking into the fine lines under my eyes. And my laugh lines here don't look especially emphasized. So I started to put on the rest of my makeup and I realized I did purchase some other new Clé de Peau things and thought I would just go ahead and apply them while we were here. This is actually, well, this is not a new item. It's a new item to me, but this is the Clé de Peau Cream Blush and I have it in the shade number 4. When I did, I think like a whole Clé de Peau like full face haul, many of you were like, you have to get the cream blush. Like this is one of their standout products. So when I placed the order for the Radiant Cushion Foundation, I got this too. So I thought I would go ahead and apply that with you. I've already gone in and bronzed. I used the Clé de Peau Bronzing Duo. So I've already powdered, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. As you can probably see, this cream blush is not like that emollient. It actually kind of looks like it's going to dry down to a powder finish. So I think it'll be fine over powder products. So I'm just going to tap just in case. I'm not going to drag, and we'll see how this goes. Oh, that is very pretty. Very, very natural flush to the cheek. Oh, I like that. I don't know if you can see it in the pot, but there's like just a hint of like a satin sheen. So it's very pretty. That is super pretty. I do really like this color. It is very neutral. So like all cream blushes, I think if you wanted to build it up or change the tone a little bit, you could just go in with a powder blush on top, but I'm going to leave it as is. I really like this tone and I really like the finish of this. So I also purchased one of their new lipstick cashmeres in Sweet Song. And so I'll go ahead and finish up the rest of my makeup and I'll come back and apply this new lipstick. So I'll be right back. All right, so I just played around with the Natasha Denona Camel palette on my eyes. A video is definitely coming soon with this 5-pan palette, but I wanted something just kind of neutral and nothing to kind of detract from the foundation because we're going to be focusing on that obviously for this video. But I did want to just go ahead and apply this new lipstick cashmere. Again, I have it in the shade Sweet Song. This is what the shade looks like. So there is Sweet Song. This is a matte lipstick, so it's going to have a matte finish. As you can probably tell, there really isn't a lot of shine or shimmer to it at all, but that it's supposed to be incredibly comfortable on the lips. It is very, very creamy feeling. And when I did put this on for my original video, I do remember it setting down a little bit, and it started to kind of emphasize the lines of my lips a little bit. I don't think that that is necessarily this lipstick's fault. I think it's just kind of like the matte finish and the matte formula just eventually kind of, for me, always kind of emphasizes the lines in my lips. I'm gonna go ahead and just go about my day, and I'll be back around lunchtime to do my check-in for this foundation. But so far, I think it's looking very, very nice. I don't think the radiance has gotten any more radiant. I just put that very, very light layer of powder down. I do think the oxidization issue is very, very minor. I think it turned a little bit warm on my skin, but that's it. It stopped there. It hasn't gotten any worse. But of course, we'll take a look again during my check-in. So I will see you in several hours. Hey guys, it's been about 5 hours since I put on this makeup initially, so I just wanted to do a check-in. I'm going to do a quick close-up and pan down from my forehead to my chin. And I think everything is looking really, really good. I see one very small issue, and that's just, and I hate this view, I'm sorry, but that's just on the bottom part of my nose here. It looks like it's kind of picking up on my pores there. I wonder if you guys can see that. But other than that, I think the foundation looks very, very nice. I love this like continued radiant glow that it's giving my skin without it looking oily. It's not getting any shinier. I don't see any of my oils kind of breaking through, especially around my nose. I feel like that's holding true. It's not picking up on any other texture. Generally on my forehead, I do have a little bit of just weird skin from old eczema, and foundations will often kind of pick up on that. I don't see that going on. I don't see any emphasis of lines like underneath my eyes, my laugh lines. I don't feel like any of that is kind of coming through, but I really do like this radiance. For someone who has extremely dry skin, I just think it looks really, really nice. It's like how I wish my skin looked normally, as opposed to the sandpaper that it normally looks like. So I think it's looking really good. And then just a quick update on the cream blush. It's still there. I think it looks really, really nice. I've been having kind of a hectic morning with work, so I'm definitely like kind of like touching my hair. That you can tell. My hair looks kind of crazy. And touching my face a lot, and I've been on the phone, and the cream blush is still there. So I think that's pretty impressive. And then this lipstick, I've had 2 cups of coffee and a can of seltzer since I left you guys, and it's still there. I do want to say when I first tested this lipstick out, when I did the first filming of this, I didn't feel like it had this this much longevity, but I did just exfoliate my lips this morning, so I think that that helped a lot actually. So I think the longevity of this lipstick is actually pretty good so long as you've exfoliated your lips. So I'll come back probably in about another 5 hours. I think a 10-hour wear test is very, very good. I usually do like 7 or 8 hour, but I will see you then. All right, guys, it is 6 p.m. So I've had this makeup on for 11.5 hours. This is probably the longest wear test that I have done to date. Yeah, I would say so. So I was just checking out my face, and overall, this is definitely a very big thumbs up. I think the finish of the foundation is still very radiant without looking oily, except for the very tip of my nose. You can probably see my oils kind of breaking through there, but nothing crazy. It's just kind of coming through. But I think the rest of my face looks really healthy. It looks really glowy. I think the coverage of the foundation is really nice. It hasn't faded at all. And around my mouth and around my nose, I find that really amazing because I've eaten quite a bit. I've also blown my nose quite a bit, yet I don't see any kind of like breaking up. I mean, you can kind of see the redness around my nostrils, but that was there when I applied it because this is not a very heavy full coverage foundation. This is a very light to medium coverage. So this is pretty much the same. All the foundation around my mouth is still there. So I think the staying power of this foundation is pretty remarkable. And again, I feel like it looks really nice underneath my eyes. I'm going to do a close-up and kind of pan down, forehead down to my mouth. But you'll see that my forehead still looks nice. You'll see that my under eyes look nice. Again, I didn't put any concealer on, so anything you see under my eyes is just the foundation. Again, with a little bit of powder on top. None of the lines are being emphasized. I don't feel like my laugh lines are being emphasized. And I think the finish has, you know, maintained itself. It hasn't gotten any shinier. It hasn't gotten any drier looking or anything like that. I think it just looks really nice. So I'm glad I did this take 2 of this foundation review because the first time, as you guys saw, it was not that great. I think I was just really thrown off by the weird kind of like color situation that was going on. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you so much for sticking around through my Monday mishap of this particular video upload and sticking around and watching this take 2 of this full day wear test for this CLE DE PEAU Radiant Cushion Foundation. So I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Please comment down below if you have any questions. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video.